We're standing at Barn Pool in Mount Edgecumbe Park, which is on the other side of the River Tamar from Plymouth. What I'm standing on now is what the Americans put here at that time, May 1944, which are chocolate bar, concrete pieces that they put on the beach, not as a hard standing, but as a flexible base to conform with the sand so that vehicles could drive over them onto landing ship tanks. What you would have also seen in May 1944 would be two large jetties going out into the bay here, which were put there so that the Americans could bring and dock their landing ship tanks for putting troops on.
Ryan, this chocolate bar would have covered the entire beach.
It would, yes.
And what's happened to it now?
It's been destroyed by storms or ripped up by locals and used for their footpaths, and some of it has been put here as a wall along the edge of the beach.
So in the run-up to D-Day, this would have been an extremely hectic place.
Oh yes, there'd have been 3,500 American troops here from the 115th Infantry Regiment of the National Guard, which was part of the 29th Infantry Division of the National Guard. Now the important thing about them being National Guardsmen is they weren't ordinary GIs. They were reservists who'd probably been in the army for years, were probably older men with children, and they were joined by their mates, their younger mates, when the unit was federalised or brought into national service, so that the younger men could fight with their mates. The National Guard only had one unit at the Normandy landings. I prefer to call them Normandy landings, not D-Day. And they were present on Omaha Beach. That's where they landed. The thing about the National Guardsmen is that they were all from a small area. In this case, for the 115th Regiment, they were from the eastern shore of Chesapeake Bay in Maryland. And they came from fishing communities, rather like our locals here, which explains why they went so seasick when they were approaching the Normandy beaches. But they came from areas with county names like Kent, Somerset. There are a few names like that, British names, English names, and with towns like Salisbury and Cambridge. So they were from quite small communities in the Chesapeake Bay. When they came here, there would be about 3,500 men under Colonel Slappy, and there is a famous picture of the anti-tank company of the 115th Regiment loading their 57mm anti-tank guns, which were based on the British 6-pounder, onto the ships here, the landing ship tanks in the bay. And the anti-tank guns were pulled by prime movers, which were Dodge six-wheeler trucks, which were six-wheel drive. And they were also accompanied by little track vehicles called Weasels, which were four-man, unarmoured vehicles intended for carrying ammunition up to the troops on the battlefield.
What do we have here, Brian?
This is a concrete road which was built by the Americans, and they're all over the park, these concrete roads. There was probably only dirt tracks here before they came, but they needed a solid base to move their lorries and anti-tank guns. So they were probably built by black construction battalions before the men arrived.
Because these type of roads run everywhere in this area.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was typical of the infrastructure that the Americans put in to help them get their troops onto the ships.
So there was a huge amount of work done before anything happened.
Indeed, and not only that, but they altered the roads in the villages. In Millbrook, they knocked down houses and widened the road. At the entrance to the park here, they dismantled an archway which was put back after the war. Yes, there was a lot of changes made.
So here today we are really standing in the middle of a very historic event.
Indeed. And if you were to go up to the house, you would find there's what's called an ice house underneath a bridge just approaching the house, and it was just there that the Americans had their cookhouse. And that would be for the 115th Regiment, which was really based all the way from Port Wrinkle to here, with their headquarters at Fort Tregantle, which is just along the coast to the west of here.
And looking at it today, of course, there's scant evidence ever happened here, isn't there?
No, and there would be Quonset huts here, which have disappeared now.
What are those, please, Brian?
Quonset, people are probably familiar with the English Nissen hut, which is a metal half-moon, half-circle structure. But the Americans had a slightly bigger one, of course, which was called a Quonset hut.
Brian, thank you very much.